Welcome to a new episode of Cory Means Business. We're going to keep moving with the coronavirus. We're going to talk about masks and whether or not they're effective and how they can and will be used in your business. We're going to start making the show a lot more about business and how this is all going to tie back into business, obviously, as now we're starting to open up. So stay tuned for this episode. Okay, masks. This is the hottest thing going on social media right now. Everybody's talking about masks. All kinds of people are getting upset about businesses making them wear masks. Businesses are losing customers over some people wearing masks, others not wearing masks. It's coming up as debate whether or not it's, whether you can get out of wearing a mask by saying you have a medical condition that doesn't allow you to wear a mask, and whether or not that is going against the rules with regards to people with disabilities or not. So, and whether lawsuits are going to be coming out of that and so forth. There's real strict rules, obviously, concerning serving people in your business that have disabilities. You have to accommodate them. So if somebody says, I can't wear a mask because I have a specific disability, you are not allowed to ask them about the disability, and you are not allowed to discriminate. So we'll see what the court cases do with this, but it's going to be really interesting because a lot of businesses are going to insist on masks and other businesses are not going to insist on masks, and then you're going to have the trouble of people not wanting to go in because people are wearing masks and other people not wanting to go in because people are wearing masks. So we're going to dig into whether or not they actually work, which ones do work, which ones don't work, which ones actually might cause more trouble than they're worth, which ones might actually spread COVID and other viruses and so forth that wouldn't be spread otherwise. So lots of pros and cons to get into. Let's start with the biggest news of the week, which is the CDC has, in fact, readjusted cases. Matter of fact, it got cut in half. It went from about 68,000 to 30,000 something. I'll put a link in the description as always with the CDC revised numbers going with confirmed cases versus suspected cases. Remember, a couple of episodes back, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about it by now, there's a big controversy over hospitals, doctors calling things that looked like COVID. So the CDC had passed some rules a few weeks ago saying that if they were suspected COVID, if it was COVID-like, they could actually put COVID as a morbidity on the death certificate. Then hospitals were getting incentivized to the tune of $13,000 to treat somebody with coronavirus versus $36,000 if they actually intubated them. So hospitals are being incentivized, which means administrators are putting pressure on doctors to put that on the charts so they could get the extra money. Now, there's a lot of nurses coming out, other people coming out saying they literally were killing people because they were trying to stick the tubes and the intubations down them to get to $36,000 when it wasn't even really necessary. Because that's not an easy procedure. A lot of people actually die from being intubated because it can, if you do it wrong, it can literally cut the airflow off. If you do it really wrong, you can damage the tissue so much in someone that's already struggling that you literally now have made it impossible for them to recover. So just as much damage gets done by intubating somebody than by not. So when you incentivize hospitals and doctors to the tune of $36,000, let's say this person doesn't have insurance and they know it, and so it's either going to be free or I'm going to get $36,000 if I stick this tube down their throat and in their lungs. Well, you can imagine that puts people in a difficult position, and I can't trust and I can't say, and I don't think anybody can, that you're not going to have some opportunists, including hospital administrators that are struggling because their hospitals are otherwise empty since they canceled all the voluntary procedures. They're not going to stick a few extra tubes down some people's throats. And so we could actually end up causing a lot of these deaths versus actually COVID causing the deaths. And again, this is going to be something that's going to have to be obviously analyzed and investigated, and I know it will because there's going to be a ton of lawsuits that come out of this on people that claim the person wasn't that sick and they got intubated and then ended up dying over it. So look for the lawsuits to start flying when this is all said and done, and we're going to see a lot of case law coming out of whether or not it was proper to be intubating these people. And I think probably going to be 50-50. Some of them shouldn't have been done. And a lot of people probably got killed by it. So we don't know at this point, even though the CDC is finally coming clean a little bit, we don't know at this point exactly what the true COVID deaths are. And it's going to take a lot of investigating and a lot of research to actually find out what they really are. We don't know at this point. Somewhere between 30 to 40,000. But at the same time, how many of those were caused by actually improper intubation? How many were caused by other comorbidities, whereas maybe they had COVID, but necessarily didn't die from COVID, died with COVID? If someone's 85 years old and they already have kidney failure, and they're going for dialysis 3 times a week, and they die, and they get tested or it's suspected they have COVID, did they die from the kidney failure or did they die from the COVID? Again, that's open to debate. So if we minus a whole bunch of other deaths that probably had stronger comorbidities than the COVID, well, now we might even get down to 15,000 deaths, 10,000 deaths. And if we look at some stats, and again, I'll put this in the notes, we might actually end up finding out as we look at some of the military numbers, because what we know for sure is the military cannot fake the deaths. They cannot cook the numbers. The military cannot do it. So let's, go to world meters, our good old coronavirus, can't spell, coronavirus stats. We're going to go to world meters. Again, this is a pretty trusted source for statistics. And let's go and look again at the United States. Now, of course, they're just going off reported, so they got 75,000 reported, but again, the CDC has revised that reported number, and they have not. This includes clearly baked numbers in New York. We already know they were baking numbers because the CDC guidelines said if it was COVID-like, and we know that already they've admitted that there was probably 10,000 deaths that were COVID-like that were never confirmed in New York. So New York's number, which we see right here, is way overinflated. And they're doing it for money. Of course they are. Their state's in a lot of trouble financially, so they want more government aid. So the bigger the problem, the more money, the bigger the rescue required, right? So New York is totally baking deaths. We look at every state below that, it drops down to a quarter, drops down to less than a quarter, just keeps dropping. New York, just some weird reason, and no, I'm not buying it's the population density, sorry. Here's the stat I want you to look at. I want you to get down, see all these states that don't have anything. Let's get down to the U.S. military's numbers, because these are going to be significant. The reason they're significant is because if we really want a true death rate among younger, healthy individuals, which not all the military is younger, not all the military is healthy. There's a lot of older people in the military, and some of them aren't very healthy. They've abused their bodies the same as anybody else. But what can't happen in the military is they cannot fake these deaths. They don't have any incentive to fake the deaths. So one, it's going to be something that's going to be looked at, right? The family, if somebody dies in the military, the family is going to be all over that. And also two, there's going to be a lot more records in the military, records that are already public record, whereas records in hospitals necessarily aren't public record or can be changed. Not going to happen as much in the military. Also, the military has no financial incentive. The military is not going to get a bigger check from the government because if they have more deaths or a bigger problem. So if we want to see what the true mortality rate is, we want to see what the true death rate is, I'm going to tell you, I think it's looking us right in the face. It's this U.S. military data. Now, we know the U.S. military has been testing. It doesn't have how many tests they've given, but they've given a lot because they're trying to figure out, obviously, who has it. We know the ship, the one Navy ship, had like 200 sailors had it, so we already know it was widespread in the military. But so far, they're reporting about 7,600. We probably know it's a lot more than that. Also, too, knowing testing versus people have had it, we're looking at, it's been proven already, 40 to 50 times that number. So we can literally take the U.S. military number, let's just say, testing aside, 10% of the military has it. So that would be, there's about 1 million people in the military, U.S. military. About 100,000 people have it. That's way less than taking 50 times that 7,600. That's just taking like maybe 12 times the 7,600. So we're way conservative. So if we do the math on that, let's take the 42, it's right here, how many people, total deaths, 42, that's it in the military. 42, and we divide, let's even divide it by the number of positive tests. which we already know is like way high, but let's just do that and see what we get. We get a mortality rate of 0.005, right? So we get a way less. That's 5 out of every 1,000. So very, very low. But if we were to take and say, hey, let's 12 times that. Let's shoot low. Let's be super conservative. Let's say 100. Let's say 10% of the military has it. Let's do 100,000. So we'll do the 42 divided by the 100,000. And we get a morbidity rate now, or a death rate of 0.0004. So now we're talking about 4 out of 10,000. And how many of those had diabetes? How many of those had asthma? How many of those had other more severe underlying health conditions? So looking at that number, it should be completely obvious without any further debate that the true mortality rate of this virus is nearly that of any common cold virus. People die from the common cold. I mean, that's just a given. People with compromised immune systems, with other health issues going on, with other surgeries or other things they've gone through, heart failure, et cetera, they die of any infection. They die of staph infection by the tens of thousands. You want to do some research? I'll put some links in here. How many people die of a staph infection in the hospital every year? Bacteria that's on all of our skins all the time. You get a wound, you get, don't clean it well, don't sanitize it well, you get staph in there, you could die from staph infection. If you have a compromised immune system, staph infection will take hold. It'll run through you so quick, the body will turn septic, and people die of sepsis. Sepsis is a very serious cause of death in people with compromised immune systems and people that are hospitalized for other procedures. They literally die of just being overrun by bacteria. So when we look at this mortality rate in the military, we see the truth concerning how dangerous this virus really is. Isn't very dangerous. The fact that we have this fear, the fact that we're still, a lot of us are hiding in our houses and all these governors are still, not wanting to open up businesses, it's preposterous. It's preposterous. The truth is looking us right in the face. So that's my coronavirus update for the week. Let's talk about the masks and whether or not they're effective. Now, I've been researching this quite a bit because I want to find out, should I be wearing a mask, to protect others? Should others committing murder, as Cuomo said, if they don't wear a mask? The guy that's not wearing a mask a guy that's not wearing a mask in a room full of other people is telling us that if we don't wear a mask, we're committing murder. That's rich, right? But that's what we're dealing with. That's who a lot of these uber liberal governors who are still keeping this country closed, that's their mentality. Don't do as I say, or don't do as I do as I say. So they're sitting here in these press conferences, in these newsrooms, people sitting within 6 feet of them all over the place with no mask on, preaching to you that if you don't wear a mask, if you dare go out of your home without a mask on, you're committing murder. Give me a break. But this is the self-righteousness that we have to deal with. This is the lack of reason, the lack of common sense that is going on out there, not only with our leaders in a lot of these states, but with a lot of the public too. And we know this. So let's talk about whether masks work. Now, there's all kinds of different masks. People are making these little homemade jobbies, right? They're making it out of cloth, or they're making it out of different things. And, they're trying to fortify it with extra layers and maybe, taking a piece of tampon or whatever people are putting in this stuff and putting it in their pad or something and, try to make an extra filter. But here's the reality. Viruses are very, very small. They don't know exactly how big. So they say between 50 and 300, and I'm going to butcher the word, microns. It's between 0.125 microns and 300 microns. And we know that even with a N95 mask, you're only good down to about 50 to 75 microns. With the little surgical masks, they're down to nothing. It doesn't protect anywhere near down that the porousness of it is way, way larger than 300 microns. Same thing with any cloth or something you could make on your own. It's not going to have the filter capability to get down to that level to where it would actually filter the virus. So, and this has been known. I mean, there's all kinds of studies out there to prove that. And again, we heard that the Surgeon General for a month was saying don't even bother. It doesn't help. And Fauci himself is even on some videos, and I'll put some links too. Anything I talk about, anything, any facts or anything that I discuss, I put links. So look for the links. Don't take my word for it. Check it out. Fauci himself is on video saying, don't wear masks. They don't do any good. So we have experts telling us they don't do any good. We have studies telling us they don't do any good. The micron size is way too small for any of these masks to be really helping. But then the argument is, well, at least they stop the droplets from spreading as far. And that's true. So there is one thing they do. If I cover my mouth or cough into my arm or cough into my shirt or to one of these little masks, yes, it will stop the spread. It'll stop the travel of the droplets going so far. But let's examine that and find out whether that helps or not. So, in the one instance where it would do some good would be the droplets will only travel about 3 feet instead of 6 feet. So if I cough, if we're in the same room together, if I'm in a store, a restaurant or whatever, and I cough into this mask, it is true that the droplets will only go about half the distance. The droplets that contain the virus will go about half the distance, as if I wasn't. I just coughed into the open air. Now, I don't know. I guess some people are assholes, I guess, that would just cough in the open, but most people at least cover their mouth or cover their arm. So you end up getting with the same effect. I go like this when I cough, so you get the same effect. No mask. So that's the one benefit that it would provide. But let's think that through. So if I'm in a store and I'm touching things and I cough into this mask, well, the cough still comes out. The droplet still comes out. They go 3 feet now instead of 6 feet. But whatever I'm in front of gets just plastered by it, okay? So it doesn't really stop that. And let's face it, the vast majority of people that are getting the virus from touching something that has the virus on it and then touching their mouth, their eyes, their nose. They're not getting it through breathing the air. That's not happening very often. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, just not very often. Vast majority of people that are getting it from touching something and then touching an opening in their body that would allow the virus to go in to your nasal cavity, your eye duct, or your tear duct, or obviously your mouth. So in that rare situation where it might help, it doesn't really. But let's talk about where it not only doesn't help, where it hurts. Because what they found is this: most people that wear masks that aren't used to it, meaning you're not a medical provider, you're not a nurse or a doctor, you're not used to doing it, they're trained, don't touch the mask, don't touch the mask. Wash your hands real well, put your gloves on, your sanitary gloves that have been, that are sterile, don't touch anything with the gloves, put your mask on, or put your mask on first. So the mask is going on with the hands either being washed really, really well or with sterile gloves on. Okay, the masks aren't going on once the nurse or the doctor gets out of their car and they grab their keys and their phone and their bottle of water and their hands haven't been washed in hours and they grab the mask and put the mask on. That's not how it's happening for doctors and nurses. Okay, that's how it's happening for everybody else. Well, if you've been around the virus, it's on your mask now, and now it's on your face, right? Also, too, think about this. Most people, and this is proven, are going to touch their face a lot more with this mask on because they're not used to it. Now, nurses and doctors are trained not to touch the mask once it's on. Do not touch it. And this is an N95 mask, not to mention just a little surgical mask. N95 mask. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. People aren't. So are people doing it in stores? Touching it, grabbing it, shifting it. I've seen people on their cell phones with their masks on and the cell phones touching the mask, and they're in stores touching everything everybody else is touching, and then they're touching their cell phone, and the cell phone is at their mask, and then they're adjusting their mask. That's what's going on. So it's bullshit, okay? Now, let's say this person walked in, didn't have the coronavirus, isn't asymptomatic carrier going to spread it, okay? So the mask is doing them no good. It's doing everybody else no good. But now they're in the store and they're touching stuff. They're touching the fruit. They're touching the meat. They're touching the bread. And somebody else that had the virus touched it. Well, now guess what? The virus is on their hands. But guess what? In 2 seconds, they're going to be adjusting that mask. Now the virus is on the mask. Then they're going to be on their cell phone. Now the virus is on their cell phone. Now they leave the store thinking this mask protected everybody. It didn't. Now the virus is on their mask. Now what do? They get back to the car. They take the mask off, they touch the steering wheel, they touch their phone, their keys, they touch all the groceries, they touch everything they just bought at the store. Now they go home. Guess what happens to the mask when they go home? They put it on the counter. Guess what? Now the virus is on the counter. You successfully guaranteed that you brought home the virus to your family. Congratulations. So here's my assessment of it. And here's what I think the evidence shows. The masks cause more problems than they solve. The one instance where they would help is a very rare scenario. And all the other instances where they would actually cause more harm than good is an every time scenario. So, should you wear masks? The answer is absolutely not. Should you wear a mask if you're a doctor? Yes. Should you wear a mask if you're a nurse? Yes. More so for the preventing of spreading of bacteria than of viruses. But in a medical setting where a professional knows not to touch the mask, wash your hands, put on sterile gloves before you put on the mask. Don't touch it until after you're out of the room that has a patient that is infected. Yes, in that situation, it works. It doesn't work at the grocery store. Doesn't work at Walmart. Doesn't work at Home Depot. Okay, it's nonsense. It doesn't work when you're walking by people. It just doesn't work. So, are masks effective? The answer is no. I think the evidence is pretty clear. Now, that being said, are there still going to be some people that are going to wear masks? Of course. And I got no problem with that. If you want to wear a mask, if you think it helps you, if you don't mind, maybe bringing it home to your family because you touched something and touched the mask, and then now the mask is on the counter, everybody else is going to touch. If that doesn't bother you enough not to do it, then knock yourself out and do it. Hey, if it makes you feel more confident to be out there outside and actually at stores buying stuff, helping businesses, then damn it, wear the mask. I'll chuckle a little bit, but hey, man, you go for it. Right? No problem. I'm not going to call you out. Whatever I think to myself. I'm not going to, make fun of anybody in public for wearing the mask. If it makes you feel better, wear the mask. But that's the fact. But don't you, same token, don't you make fun of people that aren't wearing the mask. Don't you call people out. Don't you chastise people. And don't you dare call people that don't wear the mask a murderer. We know that's not factual. So it's a personal choice, like everything else should be. Personal choice. There's enough evidence to say it does no good, more evidence to say it does more harm, and some slight evidence to say in particular one situations it might help. But if it makes you feel better, hey, I'm fine with it, because at the end of the day, I believe we all should be getting this virus anyway. Only people that shouldn't be getting it are people that are severely immunocompromised, maybe very, very old people in nursing homes that have serious comorbidities. That's why they're in the nursing homes. They should be sheltered. They should be protected. Everybody else should be getting this virus or trying to get this virus as fast as you can. Why? So we can get it over with, so we stop prolonging it, so that we can get these antibodies built up, so we can get herd immunity, so it's over. Then once the general public has herd immunity, we no longer have to protect the elderly and the people with immune-compromised diseases, because the virus disappears. Once it has nobody to infect anymore, it can't continue to spread. That's the point of herd immunity. The virus dies out because it has no other hosts to allow it to spread. It can't live on surfaces very long, and if it can't infect a new host, it dies. So that's why we're still not dealing with viruses that have been here for millions of years. Why do you think the viruses that we have to deal with like this are new viruses? That's what this is, a new virus. We're not dealing with viruses that have been here for millions of years. 10,000 years ago, they died out already. People got immunities, got herd immunity. The virus died out. Can't affect us anymore. So that's my take on the mask. Now, how's it going to affect your business? Well, again, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to be pissed off about people wearing masks. Another certain amount of people are going to be pissed off about people wearing masks. You as a business owner are going to have to navigate that. Is your business required, as part of it being open, required to have your employees wear masks? If so, they're going to have to do it. If not, I would suggest they don't. You're going to have certain people that come in, they're going to want to wear a mask. Again, let them wear the mask if it makes them feel better. For you, it's not going to hurt you. So hell, let them get the virus and get it over with themselves, so it's done. So I see no harm from the masks ultimately, and I see no reason to actually wear them. Now, as far as your business goes, again, it's going to be an individual decision. Let people that want to come in wearing the mask wear it. I wouldn't insist on people wearing it because you can piss a lot of people off. I would just say, hey, it's optional. If you want it, wear it. If you don't. And if you have immunity problems, if your immune system is compromised, don't be out anyway. Don't be out at a restaurant. Don't be out at the mall. Don't be out at Home Depot or Walmart or anywhere else. No, if you have immune issues, if you have severe underlying health conditions, no, you shouldn't be out. So the mask is really no relevancy to you because you shouldn't be out. You should be sheltering in place. Only healthy people should be out and about, getting the virus, getting it over with, getting the herd immunity. So again, for your business, make it be optional. Don't give people that do it a hard time. Don't give people that don't do it a hard time. And there should be, again, a semblance of reason that goes on there. And if anybody in your business comes in and, again, starts chastising somebody for wearing one or not wearing one, again, get rid of them, get them out the door and get them gone. They're no good for anybody anyway. So I'll put links to everything. I hope this one brought you some more information. I hope you guys are liking the series we're doing here. Obviously, we're sticking relevant. Next time on the next show, we're going to shift gears and we're going to start talking about exactly how to relaunch your business, exactly how to attack your marketing, how to attack your sales, and how to really get your business restarted, and how to ease the public to come back to your business. We'll start talking about that next time for sure. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. Please like, subscribe, share. Your support means everything to me, and it means everything to everybody else who gets to see some of this information. I hope it's been helpful. See you on the next one.